Yo guys, what's going on? Kyle with the Card Guys. I'm here with Bobby Kenny. You just top 32, right?
Yeah, top 32.
With Despots, right?
I wish it was Despots.
Okay, no, it's Pendulums. But
yeah.
Why'd you decide to play this deck for Nats?
Well, yeah, I played Pendulum Magicians. It's actually probably my favorite Pendulum deck all around right now. Not counting Metal Foes. If Metal Foes were out, I'd be playing that today, definitely. But yeah, like I've been playing the deck since before Bosch came out and gave us all the like broken Performapal stuff.
Yeah.
And like honestly, I always liked the deck more than Pepe. It was just strictly weaker, so I never was able to like really play it. But now I feel like we're in a format where like the Draco engine was like what gave Pepe all of their big power, and that's gone. Like, well, it's not gone, but it's like severely crippled. I found most of the time playing Dracos in anything, like to do a really good turn one play, you'd have to like make Ignister, and if you made your Ignister, you'd have to have some way of recycling it, or you'd just lose the game down the line. So yeah, like I just went back to this. It was really good.
Awesome. Let's see what you played.
All right. So yeah, for Magicians is relatively standard. 3 Dragon Pit. It's your high skill. Pops back row. All around. Like this is just staple for it. 2 Oafs. I was back and forth between playing. Like I feel 2 is enough. I kind of want to play a 3rd one sometimes though. Sometimes I end up like just cycling through these super fast, and it's just. Like, you end up finding yourself wanting one for your scale later. Like, if it could recycle itself, it'd be, like, this would be perfect. I might put in the 3rd one at some point, I don't know. There's a couple cards that didn't test, that, like, I realized probably shouldn't be playing, but, yeah, 2 Oaf, the 1 Wisdom Eye, staple. I wish you could play 3, but we can't. 1 Dragon Pulse, pops monsters. Honestly, I side this out against Cosmo, I side it against BA. I sometimes side it out in other matchups, like, it's like the most throwaway thing, but like it's nice to have in the main. You can search it out, pop some monster when you're up against some stupid thing. That's Vanity's Fiend, that's nice. And then 1 Noble. I've seen a lot of people cutting this, but I just feel the synchro plays it opens up are really strong. Actually, I was playing, one of my tech cards was Ancient Fairy Dragon, which this gave access to, so that was really clutch. I'm not playing Genki. That's another card that I might put back in, but like I never felt it did enough. Odd Eyes, I have 2 Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon. I don't really need any more than that. Like, a lot of time I even side one out. Like, you just want the 1 for your big damage pushes and for, like, early games, like, Skyrus into it, do, like, a small Pendulum Summon and then just cycle it for a Monkey Board or a Bambuku or whatever you're missing. I played 1 of the Phoenix and 1 of the Unicorn. The Phoenix is trash.
Why is it trash?
Like, okay, it doesn't do enough. Okay, it's not as powerful as the Pendulum Dragon. Its Pendulum effects will only come in if you've already lost the game. And it has a 3 scale, and 3 is terrible because whenever you have like Bambuku or Archfiend Eccentric or Noble Dragon, you just can't Pendulum Summon it. It sucks. Like honestly, I just like when we get Odd Eyes Persona Dragon, it's a 1 scale, amazing. The fact that it's a 3 scale just makes this terrible. Yeah, like this is probably what I'm cutting for either Genki or the Oaf or something else. I don't know. Okay. But yeah, the only other thing I liked it for was it gave you access to Ignister with Noble Dragon, but that came up so rarely. Yeah, it's not worth it, and that frees up an extra deck spot. Yeah, and then other Performapals, Joker, staple, Monkey Board to get to Joker. I wish this could search things higher than level 4 because the last Performapal I play, kind of a tech card, Performapal Splash Mammoth. This card's insane.
What does this do?
Alright, so its Pendulum effect is when you summon a Dragon Fusion, it can bring out an Odd Eyes monster from your extra deck that's face up in your extra deck. That never happens. It's just there for the monster effects. It's just once per duel you can use it, and you can fusion summon any Dragon type fusion using monsters you control. Pretty much you search this out with your Joker, you drop it with an Odd Eyes, and it boosts your consistency of getting turn 1 Odd Eyes Vortex Dragon just through the roof. Also, it's a level 6, so after you use its effect to fuse, it makes your Utopia Beyond plays, which are those are like your biggest OTKs.
That is pretty sick.
Yeah, it's like, I haven't seen too many people playing it. Actually, one of the matches I did lose was a mirror match, and he was playing this. It was like Alexander Livingston, I think his name was. He finished X1, I think. Yeah, he was playing this, and when I saw him search this, I was so happy. Like, I was sad because I lost that game because of it, but it's amazing. Other Pendulum stuff, 2 Bambuku to search 3 Karen. Yeah, so this is one of, if not the best card in the game right now. This is the reason to play Pendulums. Used to be Dracos were the reason to play Pendulums, and now it's this guy. If you drop this against PK Fire, you should auto-win. or almost auto win. A lot of other matchups it makes it a lot harder. Demise, like it's mediocre against Cosmo, like Fire King Cosmo and like standard Cosmo with none of the tech stuff, but Demise Cosmo, this wrecks it. Like anytime they go, like, okay, I've had games where I've just had this out and my opponent's like, okay, tin can, set a bunch, card a Demise, I'm like, bounce your tin can? Alright, draw 2 cards, and now end phase you have to discard your tin can.
Yeah.
Like, it's amazing against Demise Cosmo. And yeah, just, it's what keeps everything off balance. And just being able to search it with so many different cards, yeah, this is how you're winning most of your games.
Yeah,
that's actually what knocked me out. I lost to PK Fire because I didn't see any of my Magic Spectre stuff in any of my games. And then yeah, the last thing, or well, 3 Abductor. She's also insane. If there's one thing I wish I could have done more this tournament was draw her. Yeah, so pretty much she gets spell counters in your Pendulum zone whenever you play a spell, whenever anyone plays a spell, and you can remove 3 once per turn to search out any Pendulum in your deck. Usually you'll grab Bambuku or Kirin or Joker. One of the games I lost, I actually should have just gone straight for a Splash Mammoth and didn't. I grabbed the Joker, and then like my play was a lot weaker than if I had just forgone it. But yeah, if you open her with Terraforming or her with Skyrus and a Scale, you probably will win that game. Yeah, she's insane. Only thing I don't like is the 3 scale because sometimes you have to Pendulum summon 3s and you can't, but like, honestly, she gives so much power, it doesn't matter. I play 1 Eccentric. I'm like super on the fence about this card. Like there's part of me that wants to side deck more and another part of me that just wants to cut it entirely. Definitely needs more testing. Again, I hate that it's level 3. The 7 scale, a lot of the time you don't actually want her in your scale, you just use her as an MST, and Dragon Pit is your MST most of the time, so I don't know, I might cut her, might bump her up. Needs a lot more testing on her. Last monster is 2 Apex Avian.
How does this work for you?
Honestly, there's a lot of matchups where this card isn't good. Like, it's really, okay, I'm not going to say it's a bad card. There's sometimes where this card will just automatically win the game, but it's usually when you have this next to a Kirin or next to a Vortex Dragon. When this card's by itself, usually they'll do something to bait it, it goes back to your hand, and then they just OTK you.
Yeah.
Like, I was considering playing Scout and Monolith, where you can Summoner's Art for the Scout, play it, get your Monolith, blow up the Scout with Skyrus, and then Pendulum summon the Scout and the Monolith and make Infinity. I was back and forth between the two, and honestly the biggest deciding factor was a friend of mine was playing Clifforts and needed the Monolith, so I was like, I couldn't decide one way or the other, so I was like, alright, you can use the Monolith, I'll play the Apex Avians. I don't know if I would have done better if I had the Scout and Monolith engine, because like, for it to be really good, you have to open Eccentric or Skyrus. But yeah, I don't know. That like this card's trash against BA, PK Fire, any of those. So yeah, it's okay, but sometimes it's just lackluster. It's really just like it makes your good hands better and your bad hands worse. So it's kind of win more there. Spells, 3 Pendulum Call, just really staple. One thing to note with this card is be careful when you're side decking. My first loss of the tournament was I managed to break through this ridiculous board. Like it was like Monarchs playing Galaxy Soldier and he did Infinity and stuff, and I managed to break through his board, run him out of resources. I drew this off of a Karaz, and when I went to play it, I realized I only had Dragon Pit in my deck because I sat out my Noble Dragons, and I opened all my other Magicians and like filtered through them super fast. So yeah, just be a little careful with that. I had another game where I had this and I drew my Noble Dragon, which was my last Magician for turn, and I had to go in like a couple turns later. I managed to do a synchro play with it and put it back in my deck so I could play this. But yeah, just be like, this card's amazing, but so you just have to be careful with your side decking. 2 Summoner's Art. When I'm playing the Scout Monolith thing, I put a 3rd one in, but yeah, it's just 2 more of your 8 scale. The Dragon Pit's the best scale in the deck, so you just want to see it. And it's anytime, this is better than opening the Dragon Pit itself when you have Abductor, obviously, because it's more spells. Field spells, huge part of the deck. Played 3 Terraforming for 2 Skyrus and a Necrovalley.
Awesome.
So pretty much, you want to see Skyrus. You don't want to see multiple Skyrus. For a while I was playing 3 and 3. I cut it down to 2 and 2, and then I was like, alright, well, I kind of want to play some kind of tech anti-meta field spell. For the longest time I was playing Secret Village, but I figured Necrovalley was just all around better. Go figure, every time I opened Necrovalley, my opening hand, I was against Pendulums, but Yeah, but putting in the third terraforming makes it so you can get Skyrus more reliably, but then you also have another option. So if you open multiples, you can be like Skyrus, use it, and then do your play, and then Necro Valley at the end. It's amazing. Yeah, Necro Valley against Monarchs of BA is really hard for them to deal with.
Okay.
And then Cloud's Fusion to search with Skyrus, brings out Vortex Dragon, pretty staple, standard. Upstart for spell and filter, and then Ignite Reload as a one of. I've been on different ratios of this too. I play 2 of them when I'm playing the Scout and Monolith. Right now I just cut it down to 1. Yeah, it's pretty much when you get, like, I almost wish I was playing the second one just because most of the games I lost were where I saw way too many Magicians and not enough other things, and being able to, like, filter away, keep, like, a Wisdom Eye and another Magician and filter away all the rest would have been amazing, but... Yeah, but this card's solid. Yeah, so that's the main deck.
What about side extra?
Extra deck, alright, so 2 Vortex Dragon. This is probably the thing you summon the absolute most. Like, I have the 3 cards to summon. I have the Odd-Eyes Fusion, obviously, the Splash Mammoth, and I can bring it out with Absolute also. Play the 1 Rebellion. It's mainly there just to be the Pendulum to summon this. I'm not playing Janky, so I can't actually make it with using an Exceed. I play the 1 Meteor Burst. I see a lot of people playing 2. I opted to not play 2 in order to play Ancient Fairy Dragon. And then 1 Absolute Dragon. This thing actually, this is what won my top 64 match because we went into time and I was able to, it was against Cosmo. I got out of Denko and I put this on the board, and then my opponent just had to like push through with Cosmo Towns and stuff, recycling the things just to try and find enough monsters to out the Denko, and he put himself low enough that I won in time. I play 1 other rank 7. It's Big Eye. Pretty much, anytime you can beta Beatrice and then take it, that's really good. That's probably the thing I use this most for. I think one other time I took like an Aether with it, because just to get it off their board, but yeah. I've done it a couple times. It's not, honestly, it's not super staple. I was playing Dracossack for a little bit for Demise matchups, but I rarely made rank 7s in those matchups anyway, so. Utopia Beyond's my only rank 6. Pretty much you just summon it to shrink everything to 0, and then you can punch with this and your Odd-Eyes Pendulum Dragon for 8,000 damage. He also pairs really well with the Utopia. I played Prime and Lightning. This is another combo that's just over 2 attack monsters. It's 8,000 damage.
Stupid, yeah.
I only played the Prime because I was playing Trapeze Magician, so I could, if I ended up flooded out with all my level 4s, I could just do this and get 2 attacks with him at 5,000.
Yeah.
It didn't come up during the tournament, but it's nice to have. This guy's also really good with Absolute because you can have Absolute use its effects once and then attack twice with the Absolute, and then end of the battle phase it dies and you get Vortex.
Yeah.
I didn't do that this tournament either, but I've done it before. Only other 4s I played Castel. I summoned it once in the mirror match just to break apart his scale and leave him on top decking. And then the Dweller. I literally never made this, but you kind of have to play it. Actually, the one thing I kind of wish I was playing for rank 4 was Giant Hand, because there's sometimes where you have a board with like 1 disruptive card, but you have extra level 4s, and the Giant Hand, even though like Giant Hand's not great this format, like it's just a little extra layer, so I'd probably find some way to fit that in, maybe over the Prime, maybe cut that, I don't know. And then I played 2 other synchros. Yeah, I mentioned it earlier, the Ancient Fairy. Pretty much this thing, anytime that you have your Skyrus, you can drop this at the, if you can Skyrus for setting up a big play, drop this at the end of your play, and then switch out your Skyrus for Necro Valley. And then it's also good against, I've had games against Cosmo, like against Demise Cosmo, where I'll be able to clear out their only monster. Then I'll make this, I'll blow up their Cosmo Town. They can have a free card, but it gets me to my Skyrus, so I can set up the rest of my play. Yeah. Or it also, same thing with Domain. I've blown up Domain to get to Skyrus before. And then I played the Ignister. Like I said, the only way to make this in my deck, like easily, is the Noble and the Phoenix. So when I cut the Phoenix, I'm probably cutting this. But yeah, that's the extra deck. Honestly, only things that mattered were the Odd-Eyes cards, Big Eye like once, and then like, most of the stuff I rarely made, but Ancient Fairy was clutch. I made this a lot. I made this a lot more than I was originally expecting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so side deck. So I played Secret Village. Secret Village is for the Monarchs, and like, if I'm going first, I'll switch out the Necro Valley for this against Monarchs. If I'm going second, I'll leave in the Necro Valley because you can play the Necro Valley and they have to Aether immediately or they can't.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then obviously Pendulums. This is amazing going first. If you have this with Kieran against any super spell heavy matchup, like in the mirror match, they have to have Bumbuku to out this plus Kirin because it's the only spellcaster that you can't immediately bounce to their hand. I plus sided 2 MSTs, mostly for anti-spell fragrance, and in the mirror match I decided in going first for Skyrus. Yeah, and then I also played 2 Typhoons. Typhoon, like honestly I rarely had both of these in at the same time. It was generally if I was going second I'd bring in Typhoon, if I was going first I'd bring in MST. Because sometimes you'll get hands where MST being a spell for Abductor will actually just save your ass. And like, but you don't want too many of these things. Like, the only time I brought in both of them was when I was super paranoid about anti-spell. Like if I lost game 1, I'd bring in extras game 2 just to try and not auto-lose to anti-spell if they had it. But yeah, that was just my biggest fear of the entire event. Other side, and then other backer thing, 2 Denkos. If I'm against a Demise deck, I bring this in. Even going first against Demise decks, if you normal summon this and then just turn off their card of Demise because they can't set any of their back row. Like, I've won games where I just like people were playing like Dark Simorg for that. In this, I've seen Dark Simorg because you can Pendulum summon it, but like you just normal summon this and it just turns off so much. And then it has, unlike Simorg where it's only good preemptively, if they already have their back row and you drop this, it's amazing. Then I played 3 Amorphage Sloth. This card's insane. Pretty much BA, if you stick this, it's like Kirin, it's almost the same power level as Kirin, where if you stick this against BA before they go off, you win. Kirin's better because if you get it after the fact, it's still really good. But if you stick this preemptively, there's almost no way they can come back, especially if you have anything next to it. Like they have to find some way to get rid of this, and when they do, they have to make sure that turn counts, because you'll bring it back again, and then it's just, yeah, you can't go in your extra deck. It's also really good against Performapals. Not great in the Magician mirror match, but it's amazing against Performapals.
Yeah.
Then 3 Chaos Hunter. This is for Cosmos and Monarchs. I actually didn't side any sort of true floodgate cards for Monarchs outside of the field spells. But like my game plan for Monarchs is just be as ignorant as possible. They can go and do whatever they want. Like if the game goes long, you will lose against Monarchs. So you draw this, you Pendulum summon it with everything else, turn off Prime, turn off Aether, kill them that turn. So yeah, that was enough. And then 1 Veiler, it's kind of just there. I played the 1 of so that in matchups, I brought it in against Monarchs. It's mostly for BA Monarchs, because Veiler's really good against there, where you can disrupt a bunch of their different plays. But yeah, bring this in going first in some matchups so that you can search it off the Abductor if you summon it as a monster. Like, it doesn't come up super often, but it's decent. And then this is also another way to make Ignister. I made Ignister with this once, where I just normaled it and synchroed with Dragon Pit. And then last card was Raigeki. Bring it in against Cosmos and Cosmos and Monarchs, where if you can get Cosmos, if you get the Chaos Hunter or the Necro Valley and you play the Raigeki, it just wins the game.
Awesome.
So yeah, that's a deck.
Any shoutouts or anything?
Yeah, shout out to PPG. Yeah, like. They've just done so much for us lately. Like the shout out to FL Yu-Gi-Oh! If we ever get our streaming going again, I really want to. But yeah, me and Josh Barnick have been like super busy, so I haven't been able to get much going with that. But
awesome.
And yeah, shout out to guys over at TCG Player, all my writer friends.